All right, Susan, actually, we have some breaking news just coming in while we talk. I'll come back to you and take your reaction on that. All right, we have some updates coming in from Iran, where Israel has said that it has already launched airstrikes against military targets in western and central Iran. While Iranian media is reporting that explosions in several major cities have been, of course, heard, and that includes Tehran. The Israeli military said that the Air Force struck military sites linked to the Iranian regime. And following the announcement, Iran's Mehr news agency has now reported explosions in the capital, Tehran, while another agency have said that blasts were also heard in Tabriz and Isfahan. And there's no immediate details on the casualties as of now, but this is the latest that we are picking up. Israel has launched its airstrikes against military targets in western and central Iran. And what Iranian media is saying is that they're reporting explosions in several major cities. That includes Tehran. The Israeli military has said that the Air Force struck military sites linked to the Iranian regime. Now, this is the latest coming in. Susan, if you can just hear me, we were just discussing if Israel will heed to it, but we do see these retaliation coming in. How do you see a U.S. reaction to this?
Yeah, some believe that behind the scenes, because the problem is right now, whatever news we're getting is secondhand, third hand from unknown U.S. officials that are leaking to the media. So we really don't know where exactly Netanyahu and Trump stand behind closed doors. Did Trump give the green light behind closed doors to Israel, but he is saying this publicly, for example, because countries like Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries had asked Trump to de-escalate because they're concerned that Iran will attack them? Or is Israel thinking that it should go ahead with this attack despite President Trump's warnings? That's something that we don't know really. But I think we'll get a better understanding from President Trump himself. Usually when things escalate like this, he does come out on social media and Truth Social and say something. But I just saw that as you were breaking that, Iran now suspends flights at Tehran airport. Incoming flights to Tehran's Imam Khomeini International Airport has been suspended until further notice. So, and as I mentioned, just as we were speaking, news came in that the U.S. Embassy had called for a shelter in place in Israel, and the U.S. Embassy in Jordan had called for a similar thing. So it's hard to imagine that the United States was not aware that this attack by Israel was going to happen. Now, whether or not Trump gave his blessings or not, that's another question, but I think the Israelis did inform the Americans that they were going to launch these counterstrikes.
And if that happens, do you think that would anyway influence the Iran-U.S. deal, and Israel is a part of course, breaking this deal if it ever breaks?
Well, yeah, absolutely, because even now, the ceasefire is so fragile, despite the fact that there were skirmishes on the part of Iran against some Gulf countries, Kuwait International Airport just last week. But also the United States has been carrying out attacks even as close as Reshm Island in the Strait of Hormuz against Iran. And then, of course, the Strait of Hormuz is another story. So it's not like there was complete peace really during this fragile ceasefire. And this just makes things a lot more difficult considering the fact that, now Iran and Israel are directly involved. But Iran wasn't even satisfied with the fact that Hezbollah is being attacked, let alone itself. So, yeah, I think it'll escalate, but you never know. These things, like I mentioned, has happened between Iran and the U.S. One has to wait and see whether or not now Iran is going to retaliate back to Israel. If that happens, then yes, we're going to see all-out war, and the ceasefire basically, and the talks, the diplomacy that you alluded to is just going to go up into thin air.
Susan, also we have reaction from Trump when he was asked about what would happen if such a deal fails. What Trump has said that he would consider a commando raid on Iran. It looks like boots on ground is actually a reality that Trump is considering at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, the administration has said throughout this entire, from the start of the conflict to when the ceasefire to when the negotiations started, that all options are on the table. And the Pentagon hasn't been shy in saying that if ultimately they see that they can't reach an agreement, then they're going to take kinetic action. While there are some that believe that the U.S. Is not ever going to attack Iran to that extent, but the government, the White House, the Pentagon, and the Trump administration are keen to let not only Iran but the world know that they still would attack if they decide to do so. I think it'll be interesting how that pans out, considering the fact that Congress just passed the War Resolution Act, and some Republicans sided with Democrats, and that sort of passed. Although, it's unlikely that it'll go all the way to the president's desk. It probably won't even get there, but I think he's considering that, and the sentiment of public opinion right now, and even some within his own party, whether or not, he would carry out those military strikes once again to the extent that they were before.
All right, Susan, thank you so much for joining us and giving all the updates. We'll come back to you as and when we get more.